No, the title of this video is not clickbait. I'm actually considering leaving the homestead at least part-time. And this is why. For those of you who are followers of this channel since the beginning, that would be 5 years now. That's crazy to me. 5 years. I'm 38. That's still over an eighth of my entire life. So I want to take you on a bit of a personal journey. I usually don't talk about personal life stuff with you guys, and I try to have a lot of fun on my channels and in general separate that part out. But I think in this video and on this channel, it's time to share a little bit more with you guys. I feel comfortable about it. And so sit back and enjoy, maybe pour some tea. If you care to listen to me ramble about my own life, you don't have to. And I'll talk about it because I think it's an interesting lesson learned for the sort of perils of work-life balance and mixing in personal life with work and all that kind of stuff. So the brief history of the Epic Homesteading channel is, of course, there's Epic Gardening. We're almost at 4 million subscribers over there. That's been my main time gig since 2016 when I quit my job to do it full time. And obviously it took off further than I could have ever imagined. I wanted it to pay my bills. I wanted to make $2,000 a month, pay my bills, and then I could do whatever I wanted, is what I said. And of course, it's done a little bit more than that. But this was the first business that I've run that's had this level of success. And when I say success, I mean financial impact, team size, like kind of the more classical definitions, but also just something that's very rewarding. Wow, that sun just hit me in the face, guys. Wow, it hit me in the face. Okay, I'm getting my vitamin D. And so this is my first rodeo of building a company like that. And this is a unique company. Epic's a special company, obviously, to me, but also I think the people here are really special. Jacques, Paul on the team, everyone behind the scenes that you guys don't know about or don't see as much. We're a really special group, but we're doing something a little different, I think, than your typical company out there. Obviously, we need to make money. That's part of what being a company is, but it's not something I've ever tried to maximize relative to the impact that we try to have with the home gardener because of what it's done for my life. I've seen what it's done for the people on our team's lives who have started to garden now as they started to work at Epic, but also you watching. I've gotten literal letters from dozens of you at this point over the years saying how gardening literally saved your life. Like you were going to compost yourself, let's just put it that way, and somehow you stumbled across our videos, you got into gardening, it kind of gave you a new lease on life, which is very gratifying to hear. And weirdly enough, why I got into gardening was to get off my video game addiction, many years ago, and it was designed to kind of be the hobby outside of work. Of course, now it's become the hobby that is the work, and that has taken quite a toll on me physically and mentally. The sun was really blasting me, but I wanted to show you guys my sweet potato patch before we continue. This is going to be the craziest sweet potato harvest I have ever had. So once I went full-time on Epic, it was me and me. And then I hired an assistant. I hired a writer, Lauren, who's still on the team. She's our staff horticulturist now, almost 10 years later, which is really cool. And the team didn't get much bigger than that until literally 2021. I'm talking 10 plus hours a day minimum, myself, the team, just grinding at it. And then once 2019 came around and we started offering products, it got even crazier because now you have a whole world of physical to deal with along with all of the content. And I think that something that a lot of people don't realize when you're on the other side of the screen watching a creator is we weren't just, or at the time, I wasn't just a blogger, which is how it started, or just a YouTuber, or just a podcaster, or just a social media, whatever. I was doing all of those with myself and basically 2 people. So a daily podcast, 2 to 3 videos a week. Then the second channel, we were doing about 25 to 30 articles on the blog every single week at our peak back then, at least. Now we're upwards of 100. But that was just a lot. But in my mind, I didn't realize that. I was just like, I'm grinding on this. I'm having a good time. I'm getting to do what I want. I don't have to go drive in traffic to work, right? I don't have to go do a job I don't like to do. And I can see the impact that we're having. So what can I complain about? I have nothing to complain about. And I still don't. But I don't think I realized the toll that could take on the mind and the body. Because I remember in 2020 or 2021, this is when things started to really crack, I think, for me, but I didn't realize it at the time. I had asked my girlfriend, I said, hey, what is stress? And she looked at me and she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, what, like, how do you know if you're stressed? Like, how would you define it? And she was like, oh, you know, you're doing that thing where you like pretend not to know a word, or I don't know. Sometimes I'll be like that. I'll be a little annoying, you know? And I was like, no, I'm being serious. Like, how do you know in your body that you are stressed in the moment that you're stressed? So she kind of talked me through it, which I'm very grateful for. And all of a sudden I realized I'd been deeply, chronically stressed for years. I just didn't know it. I just didn't know it. And so, you know, in 2021, October, my grandfather died. I had to fly back from a conference I was at to try to be with him before he passed. And I was fortunate enough to be able to be there. But that was not a great experience in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm happy I was there for it, but I'm not happy in a sense that I had to witness it. But I kind of am, because that's like part of life. But it was difficult, you know, and I got COVID right after that. And then that began this journey, I'll call it that, of anxiety and panic. And I think some of you watching know that that's been a problem or a struggle for me over the last maybe year, but it started back then. My first panic attack was 2021, probably December, I would say. And, you know, lo and behold, that was also right around the time where Epic was getting a lot of attention, and we ended up raising a round of funding from some great investors. And so, you know, there's some added stress to that. It changes kind of the trajectory of the company. But I started getting anxiety and panic attacks, and I didn't think too much of it because it didn't come that often. But it was like once I learned how to detect the stress signals, it all of a sudden became apparent I was pretty stressed. And it's kind of like cracking the door open, then boom, like the Kool-Aid man comes through and like busts in. So that was the beginning. And then as you get into 2022, what started to happen is the team just grew really quickly. You know, we had raised some investment capital, and it was time to get some help. I mean, Jacques, Chris, our customer service lead, and Lauren, our staff editorial, Josh, our editor, they were all working just as hard as me, if not harder, you know, and we needed to get some help. So we hired a lot of people to help out. And by the time it came to about November of 2022, Epic had gone from me and 4 people to me and 24 people, which is a 6 times increase in a year. And that year was crazy, man. I was on the phone all the time trying to hire people. You'd have some, you know, there's always employee things that you have to deal with. There's the back end of dealing with the website and the warehouse, and of course, making all the videos for you guys, trying to develop some cool new products. We brought on the Tray company at the time and brought on Diego Footer, awesome guy, still worth the company today, developing some amazing products. So the sheer amount of things that were happening, I was like, it's like, you know, people say, oh, I'm drinking from the fire hose. I was drinking from the ocean. Like the ocean was pouring itself into my mouth. I don't know how else to put it, but there was just so many new things coming at me that you don't even have a moment to step back and go, hey, like, what is this? Am I okay? Like, am I going to survive? And so the panic increased a little bit then, but it actually got extremely bad beginning of last summer. So sometime around like spring of 2024, where I would say between spring of 2024 and today, I probably had 200 panic attacks, maybe, or more, maybe more, like no joke, maybe more. And also that past summer, I had the cool opportunity to throw out the first pitch at the Padres game. One of the kids I grew up with ended up working for the Padres. He sent me a message. I'm like, you know what? I'm definitely going to do this. So it was August, a couple days before my birthday, and my girlfriend and I, we had planned this big thing where, you know, all my friends and family wanted to come see me throw the pitch and enjoy a game together. Some of the team, Jacques came, Paul came. And that day, I was kind of anxious, but at this point, I had been anxious for months, like every second of every day, deeply anxious, to the point of like really not some great thoughts going through your mind. So I go out, I throw the first pitch, and I'm like, it was a good pitch. Maybe we'll put the clip up here or something, but it was a good pitch, felt good. I'm sitting in the stadium with my friends and family and girlfriend at the time, and I'm just not there. Like, I'm not even there. I'm mentally dissociated completely. Like, I think they call it DPDR, depersonalization, derealization. Like, it's not like it's not like I was just zoning out. It's like I didn't feel like the entire situation itself was even real. Like I thought it was a simulation or like fake or something. I don't know how to describe it. In the comments, if you understand this, I know you'll leave a message. And you know, it's one of those things where like, if you don't get it, if you've never had it, first of all, that's really great. I'm glad you didn't. But you'll never understand it unless it happens to you. The sort of panic, anxiety, these OCD symptoms that can come in and ruminate, like the mind rumination, or even the depersonalization stuff, you cannot understand it unless you've gone through it. A lot of people give these sort of trite suggestions like, oh, you're not exercising enough. It's like, oh, you don't have a mission in life. It's like, okay, I know a lot of people, I know many people dramatically more successful than myself, but I'm talking 100 millionaire type person or something like that. Not that that's what being successful means. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying, like, in the world of the material, you know, they still deal with this. You know, they still deal with this kind of stuff. I know people who are classically not super successful. They still deal with this stuff. It's not just about lifestyle, you know? But yeah, I sat there and I was like, what is going on? Next day, I was in the emergency room because I went to the gym and I checked my pulse. I went up 3 steps, literally 3 steps. I go, why am I out of breath? I check my pulse and my pulse is like, instead of being like, bum, 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 it was like, but, and I was like, dude, am I dying right now? I legit thought maybe I was like having a heart attack or something. And so I drove to the urgent care and I go in and I'm like, hey, something's up with my heart. Like there's something wrong with me right now. And they check the pulse and they're like, well, your pulse is fine. I'm like, no, dude, check my pulse. Like check the pulse itself. And he goes, oh yeah, you have an arrhythmia. And then the doctor says you have atrial fibrillation. And my heart sank because I started to cry because I was crying a lot at this time in my life. But anyways, because my dad had that when he was 37 and this time I was 37. And my dad, as some of you know, he passed at 44 and we think at least part of it was due to his heart conditions. So I got scared. And then they're like, you need to go to the ER. You don't need to go to the urgent care. You need to go to the ER. And so that's where I went. And those bastards try to charge me thousands of dollars to go 10 minutes up the road. So those of you who have had medical debt issues, I feel for you because they tried to like collect some money on me. I'm like, guys, you can't bill me for this. I know my rights. Like, you can't bill me. Still dealing with that. But anyways, they thought they were gonna have to shock my heart back to normal, like put me under general anesthetic, put something down my throat and shock my heart back to normal. And I was like, dude, I don't wanna go under general. Last time I had that was wisdom. I always think like if you go under general, you're just never gonna wake up for some reason. Like it could happen. So I was lucky and I converted back to normal rhythm overnight. But ever since then, obviously, you have to take something to make sure that doesn't happen again. Atrial fibrillation, there's things you can do lifestyle-wise, but sometimes it's just genetic. You're more prone to it, and my family is prone to it. So that started to happen. The sleep started to go away. You know, the panic started to happen daily or multiple times a day. Obviously, it took a toll on pretty much everything in life. And yeah, I mean, when you get to working and living from a place where, I mean, this is my garden, this is my house. At the time I was living here with my girlfriend, and it's 998 square feet or something like that. It's under 1,000 square feet, guys. And there's a team here every day, every single day, from the early morning until at least the afternoon, if not later. This is almost as much a office as it is a home. And it's in an area that I don't know that I would have picked if I were to do it again today. But I love that I picked it and I love this home and I'm never going to sell it. However, it doesn't feel like a home to me anymore. And I think it's time for a change. I think it's time to turn this into the Epic Gardening San Diego headquarters, you know, and have the team work from here more full time and give the team a space. Because there's a lot of people on the Epic team here in San Diego. There's like 15 at least. And we used to have an office. No one really, you know, we didn't use it all too much, but this place is a beautiful place to work. It's just not a beautiful place to work and live. So, you know, I think a lot of creators would come on and just pretend like they still lived here type thing. I don't really want to do that. I want to always come at you guys with what's going on. And I figure we're at a much different chapter in the life of Epic than we were 5 years ago when I started with myself and really at the time 2 people buying this home. So I think I'll be moving somewhere else, and you'll see a lot of cool stuff happening. You probably even see more cool stuff happening on our channels because it'll be a little bit less kind of wishy-washy about, is this a house? Is this an office? You know, it'll just be the Epic Gardening headquarters. We've wanted an office for a long time, but sometimes you got to have that work-life balance and you got to protect your sanity. I tried to hang on for as long as I could, but I could not. It got bad enough for a while there where, yeah, I mean, I had people trying to like make sure I wasn't gonna like do something, you know what I mean? Compost myself. So yeah, and when it gets to that point, you kind of have to make a change, right? So I figured I would come on and just tell you guys this, and if you have suggestions or maybe hopefully this can help you in some way, like if you've gone through something similar. But yeah, real look behind the scenes sometimes is useful, I think. So thanks for listening, guys. I will see you on the next video here. And yeah, good luck in the garden and keep on growing.